Hello, and welcome to the All In series. We're here to share the stories of people who have gone all in and pursued their dream of owning their own business. My name is Layla Gulen, and we're happy to be joined by Matt Feleppa, the proud new owner of the franchise DonutNV. Great to have you with us, Matt.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate you having me. It's great to be here.
So, from managing dollars to donuts, I can't think of a better compliment to your experience. But why don't you go ahead and tell our audience the professional world that you come from and still are keeping one foot in while you pursue what sounds like a fun and delicious endeavor?
Sure. So I've been in commercial banking this is actually my 18th year as a senior commercial lender, senior relationship manager with I've been with two different banks over the course of about the last 15 years. So one of them I was with for about 10, 11 years, and the other one I've been with a little bit more recently, but in the same role, in the same capacity.
Okay, wonderful.
So my role there is pretty much what it sounds. I've worked with business owners, entrepreneurs, folks that have been in business or inherited a business and helped them with their financing. Basically over the last 20 years is what I've been doing. I've always kind of had an entrepreneurial spirit, and sometimes it's just timing between kids and life. But I just got to the point where I said there's always going to be a reason not to do something. So I like you said, I'm still keeping my foot in the door here, still working my full-time job and kind of doing this, at least right now, kind of on the side until it develops and we see what it can be.
Yeah. And tell us a little bit more about DonutNV.
Sure. So DonutNV, when you start to dabble into the franchise world, I got hooked up with a consultant who I think you're familiar with, Rich LeBrun. So I started talking with Rich, and quite frankly, when I started talking with him, I had no idea where it was going. I just kind of said, well, I'm just going to keep talking to him and just kind of keep walking down the rabbit hole a little bit and seeing where this goes. And the more and more that I talked to him, he got to the point where he said, well, based on, what your cash investment level is and what you're willing to commit to this, there's anywhere from 10 to 20 franchises that you'll fit in. So I said, all right, well, why don't we talk about those? So he started presenting them to my wife and I, because we're kind of doing this together. She's keeping her day job too. She's a real estate paralegal for about the last 16, 17 years. So we've both, and she works in business law and corporate law too. So it's a world we're both familiar with. We've just never done it ourselves. So the irony was when he was showing us and presenting us these different potential franchises that would fit our budget, our investment level. When DonutNV, it's a tow behind food trailer, and they kind of build it as an interactive food trailer. So they have a large window where you can see the donuts being made. It's a very bright, vibrant truck. When they do like private catered events, they kind of do tours of the trucks and things like that. So they're doing catered events like weddings and graduation parties and birthdays.
Great opportunity.
Yeah, it is. So what I was going to say was, so when he first presented that one, I was kind of like, I don't know if that's the right one or not. My wife was like, that's the one. It has an autonomous schedule. It's not brick and mortar. We can kind of fit it around our schedules. And I coach youth sports too, and we're both on a couple different boards with a couple different boosters, and somehow she gets pulled into managing and overseeing the concession stands a lot.
Yeah.
So she said, it's kind of, we have to manage the inventory there. We have to manage, buy and sell products. So it's something we have dabbled in a little bit, not to this scale, but it just seemed like the right fit. So she was pretty sure that that's what we were going to do. And after we kind of dug into it a little deeper, we really loved the story of the founders. They're both came from corporate America, started in Allentown, Pennsylvania, which isn't all that far from us. And they were doing it on their own, just independently for about 10, 12 years. And in 2018, they started franchising. And I think if I remember right, I had an article sent to me. They're within the top 150, I think, fastest growing franchises in the country right now.
Oh my goodness.
So
yeah,
so they're really growing.
The right time.
Yeah, we're getting in at a very early stage at just the right time. We're really, really excited about it. There's certainly some overwhelming times. going through a lot of the permitting, and you still have to go through all the health code permitting,
Yeah.
and your permitting and your licensing to be a certified kitchen, and that sort of thing gets a little overwhelming, but it's definitely been fun. It's been fun, and we're really looking forward to actually getting started. Where we're at right now is our donut truck is being manufactured, and it's done next month. So we've already got we've already
Do you
got
have any
like
events
40
booked
events.
yet?
Yeah, we do have about 40 events booked.
You said four or
Just from
40?
40.
Four
We have like
zero. Oh my goodness.
40, yeah. And it all came from our kind of our Facebook and social media announcement, which if there's folks out there who are wondering, the benefit of a franchise is the support that you get, the media that you get, the support on social media, the marketing. I have boxes of, marketing materials they send, and they kind of guide you of, X amount of posts a week typically yield this kind of exposure, these kinds of
It's kind
results.
of a formula too.
They do. They have a proven formula for success. You know that their product is proven, or they wouldn't be expanding and growing. So, we're really excited. We have 40
great.
events booked, and
I want to hear.
to get...
I want to hear what the donuts are like. But before we do that, I want to back up just a little bit. So before you started talking to Rich LeBrun, when did you start thinking that perhaps owning a franchise is what you wanted to do? I mean, you're steeped in the banking industry yourself personally. Your wife, of course, is a paralegal in the real estate industry. But when did you really start to consider that owning a franchise was something that you wanted to do? And then when did this process with Rich begin?
Sure. Like I said, I've worked with so many business owners and entrepreneurs over the years. I mean, in the commercial banking world, that's all that I deal with. So, I look at a lot of tax returns, a lot of financials, analyze financial statements, and a lot of times I'm looking at it and I recognize the person and the personality, and the success usually falls, because I've seen unsuccessful business owners, over the years too. And the one thing that, I guess, to answer your question, that kind of drove me into the franchise world was it's very, very difficult to get a business off the ground independently on your own. Typically, it takes at least 5 years before you even become profitable. If you research the franchise world, that is narrowed greatly because of the support you get from the franchise. All the permitting, like I was talking about, all of the licensing, knowing when do you make an announcement that you're actually doing this? How do you announce it? What sorts of things should be, the media they give you to run your own commercials and reels and things like that. They're all high quality. They're high level. It's almost like when we posted the first time and started posting these things, it's like a commercial you'd see on television, as opposed to me just kind of saying, hey, this is something I'm doing. This is something we're going to try, and not having the right media marketing support, to do it or know if what you're doing is the right thing. So that's kind of, so I started dabbling into the franchise world, just researching it. And I spent probably about 3 or 4 months just researching it. What connected me with Rich.
That was smart.
Yeah. My wife always jokes that I'm kind of the risk taker and she's a more conservative one. But while I'm the risk taker, I do my homework.
Yes.
So
important.
I definitely did my homework, and some franchises are, from a financial standpoint, for most people, it's prohibitive. Like if you look at a large franchise like a McDonald's or a Dunkin' Donuts, or another good one is like Jersey Mike's. My kids love to go there, and they always joke like, "Why don't we buy a Jersey Mike's?" And I said, "Well, Jersey Mike's requires quite a bit more money. There's liquidity parameters and guidelines. Like some of those large ones, you have to have $500,000 to $700,000 in liquidity, just to have cash available, and then your total investment is several $1 million to buy into those franchises, between your franchise fees and the brick and mortar location and maybe some of the construction you have to. It's not, and I think it's for people who maybe have been in the franchise world a long time, and we keep saying we don't know where it's going to go. I mean, we may do this for 10 years and we're very successful, it may branch in or snowball into looking at a larger franchise or the franchise world. But as I started looking into it, your phones these days like know everything that you're doing and what you're researching and what you're looking at. And
True.
all of a sudden I got a message from Rich on LinkedIn. And my first thought was, is this a scam? Is this a joke? Is this just an automated response based off of what I've researched? But the way he sent the message was so kind of personalized. I thought, well, this guy seems like he's really talking to me. So I did send a message back and I said, hey, I'd be interested in talking, and asked a few questions. And once I realized, Rich was just a normal guy like me who, works in the consulting world, we just got to chatting and set up some calls, and it just kind of snowballed from there.
Sounds like it was very serendipitous.
It was.
And how long ago was that?
I probably started researching into the franchise world in like April, May-ish last year. And I think I got connected with Rich in like early July.
Oh, wow.
So it was like a couple months of
about it. It didn't take that long.
No.
So you were kind of off to the races once you met up with Rich. So again, it was just very serendipitous that he ended up reaching out to you.
Yeah.
I think the cosmos aligned, and maybe you knew that it was the right time to do this. And you had mentioned a few challenges, but would you say that there were any other challenges besides permitting and licensing and things like that?
Yeah. I mean, I would tell anybody that's dabbling into the process, there's a lot of the legal world and the legal side of it, that even doing this all my life, all this information that I ask a borrower to collect is, all the things I had to set up, between setting up your corporation and, setting up your tax IDs. And, there was some different programs I tapped into for, I funded a portion of it myself, and then I tapped into some different resources for some additional funding. Going through that, there's times where it just kind of gets a little bit scary, like, what am I getting into? Have I bit off more than I can chew? Am I going to be able to juggle all this and balance all this? And I just kind of just kept going. You almost, you don't know where
jitters.
to be. Yeah, yes. You sometimes don't know where to begin, so you just begin. And
that's right. You have to just keep moving forward, right?
Yes.
So what advice would you give anybody who's contemplating doing the same thing, taking the same plunge to go all in?
The advice I would have is, if you're passionate about it and it's something you want to do, I always felt like I have to do this. I have to know, if I don't try this, I'm going to look back and have regretted, not going down this path. And if you kind of have that same kind of fire inside you to say, I want to do this, I want to see where this can go, my advice is just stay the course. Trust your gut, stay the course. You're going to have moments, absolutely, where you feel like it's overwhelming. You feel like it maybe this isn't possible, or maybe this isn't the right time. My advice is there's always going to be a reason not to do it. It probably, from all standpoints, it probably wasn't the right time in my life for me to do it, but I just didn't know when there was going to be a right time. I have 2 kids, 16 and 11. They're very heavily involved in sports. I coach a lot of their sports. They both travel for baseball, and so there's all these things going on. And when my wife would ask, how are we going to do this, I would just thought, we're going to figure it out. There's going to be challenges, but we're going to figure it out. And so far, that's what we've done, is we've just kind of figured it out, and it keeps working. So
and then once you started that process with Rich, maybe you can talk a little bit about what that experience was like and how he helped guide you through that process. Sure. And maybe overcome some of those jitters.
Sure, absolutely. Rich is excellent. He is the best way I can describe working with him is you felt like you had an ally. You felt like you had a friend. Rich is doing this because Rich enjoys doing this. Rich isn't doing this, I don't even know how his compensation works. I never asked. The only question I asked is, do I have to pay you? And he said no. So he's genuinely in it to see you succeed. And if you get to a point where Rich doesn't think this is going to work, or you don't have the right tools, I know that he would tell you, or this isn't the right time. I know that he would tell you that. Rich just kept telling. There were some times where I called Rich and I just needed to bend his ear and say, Rich, this is where my concerns are. This is what I'm struggling with. And we would have sometimes a 10-minute call. Sometimes it was an hour and a half. Would be on the phone, just talking through and navigating through things. He does weekly check-ins with you, and we got to a point where I said, Rich, you know what? I'm good this week. We don't need to talk. And then the next week I'd say, Rich, I got to talk to you. But he was fantastic to work with because he's just such a genuinely good person. And he, like I said, genuinely and sincerely wants to see you succeed and help you navigate this.
Indeed. That's wonderful to hear. That's wonderful to hear. And
yeah,
finally, I asked you this before. So tell us, describe what a donut by DonutNV looks and tastes like.
Sure. Anyone that's really curious about it, if you go out to TikTok or Instagram or something, you search DonutNV, and it's just like it sounds, donut and the letters NV. You'll find all sorts of media commercials out there kind of inside the donut truck. But the best way I can describe them, they're mini donuts. So they market it, the organization markets it, and we market it as more of a dessert. It's not the way you would think of a traditional like Dunkin' Donuts or Starbucks, and it's breakfast with your coffee. Not that you can't have it that way, but it's more of a dessert. So they're mini donuts. They're served hot and fresh. So as they come off of our donut machine, you're waiting for them, and if you're getting a bag of 6 or 8 donuts, they're right there. And then we have nearly 40 toppings you can choose from, put on the donut. So they're almost like, if you've ever been to a fair or carnival, almost like a mini size, like doughboy or funnel cake. Like that's more the consistency of it. And then the toppings range from, we have like powdered Fruity Pebbles and Lucky Charms and s'mores and maple bacon. And, there's all sorts of different toppings.
My mouth is watering just you telling me about that.
They are really good. And you can do them by the bag, or we have like buckets that we do where you can choose, and there's like 30, 40 mini donuts in there, and you can layer them and choose like 4 layers of toppings. So
that sounds amazing.
And then that
sounds so delicious.
It is. Then we do our own iced coffee and lemonade and orangeade, and it's all fresh, no preservatives. So everything we do is made fresh right there on the spot. And like I said, it's really cool. Inside the donut truck, there's a window outside, and it looks right into the back where all of our people are making the donuts, and our donut machine is working to make the donuts. So it's an interactive food trailer, which makes it really fun.
That is so cool. Well, how can people get in touch with you? You already have 40 events lined up.
We
do. Congratulations on that. How do people get in touch with you to learn more?
Sure, absolutely. So we're out of Meadville, Pennsylvania. So you can go to Facebook and search DonutNV Meadville, and we would come right up. If you just go to www.donutnv.com, that's the main company website, and then you can go to find us or contact us, and you can search by city, you can search by state, and it will find the franchise owners within those respective areas.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Matt, for joining us today on the All In series. It has been such a pleasure getting to know you, and you will be an inspiration for anyone thinking about taking the leap into entrepreneurship with a franchise. So we wish you much success, and thank you to all of our viewers and listeners. We hope that you enjoyed meeting Matt Feleppa, and look forward to having you join us again as we explore more stories of those who've decided to go all in. We will see you next time.
Thank you so much.